Hey everybody! Welcome to my Week 9 course module. I'm Rachel Williams, and I'm really excited to be here with you this week. What is in this particular module? Okay, got a few things planned for you. We have the screencast video link, duh, of course. There's a PDF of Teaching Online, a Practical Guide. It's Chapter 5, Creating Your Online Syllabus. There's a couple of video links, one for serious and one just for fun. Article by Saville in PDF. Harnish and Bridges article, also a PDF, and 2 discussion questions. So it's a pretty decent week full of stuff. Also, what else is in here? Oh yeah, this is me and my newest member of the family. That's right, we're in the car. It's a long story full of good-hearted, well-meaning students and dorm regulations and frightened little kittens in Walmart parking lots. So if you hear purring, meowing, growling, or little jingle toys in the background, that's what that is. All right, well, let's get started. How come the book is Teaching Online, a Practical Guide, and it's not Online Instructional Design or something like that? I mean, it makes sense, right? We're in a online instructional design course. Well, I'm glad you asked. When we think about it, we are instructional designers, but most of the people we help are not. So it might help us to get a little hint of what it's like to think from a teacher's point of view. Most of us in here have had experience designing things for instruction. Only a couple of us have had teaching experience, whether it's online or face-to-face. So it makes sense. Even if you never plan to teach a single day in your life, some of the people you deal with will never have taught online, and you and they may not be able to, how should I put it, meet in the middle. It may help you to know some of the things that they're concerned about. And there's also the possibility that an instructor who's been teaching for 30 or 40 years and is now going online, oh, come on, we don't need to take it seriously. We'll just slap the syllabus up there. And so this is your chance to have a little information to say, wait just a second, sir, or ma'am. Let's try this a little differently. Trust me, you will really want to plan your online course very carefully. So the online syllabus functions in 3 ways: as a contract, a map, and a schedule. And when we keep all of these things in mind, it's easier to come up with a really, really good online syllabus. The syllabus is a contract. Well, this covers class participation, grading criteria, and managing student expectations. Online participation is usually a huge deal, and so it always helps to consider what's going to be involved in participation. Will students need to post discussion questions? Will they need to post a summary? Will they need to respond to one another? How often are they going to have to participate? In what ways? On the discussion board, or is there a Pinterest board? How is online participation graded? Length of words, frequency, quality of contributions, and so on. Keep in mind, is it synchronous or asynchronous as well? What's acceptable behavior and what's not for participation? What is a good example of a good participation element where a student might earn a high grade? What's not acceptable for participation? Grading criteria, well, create a rubric for everything. It sounds kind of simplistic on my part and on Ko and Rossen's part, but no, it's not. In the face-to-face classroom, you can explain a whole lot of things. Online, though, you may not have that chance. So if there's anything that's going to be graded, create a rubric for it. Saves you headaches and saves your students headaches too. There's always the expectation in an online class from some people that they can just lay back and let the book seep into their brains like osmosis, you know. Some people expect it to be way easier than a face-to-face course. Some people expect it to be a lot like an independent study, or they can work ahead or submit assignments in any order they please. Some assume that it'll be completely anonymous, kind of like an online chat board, and they can just come in and do stuff and never have to interact with anyone else. When we think about student expectations, we can help nip some of this in the bud, to use an old cliche. Because if we don't, it leads to failure for the online class. Student satisfaction goes down if it doesn't meet their sometimes realistic and sometimes unrealistic expectations. And students fail too. And with all of the talk about keeping students in class, in college, helping them graduate, we definitely don't want any unearned failures, so to speak. So how do we manage these student expectations? Students bring a whole lot of them to the classroom. Well, a really carefully crafted syllabus helps your students understand contact info and the methods for getting in contact with you or with the instructor in that matter. Is it permissible to email at all hours of the night and expect a reply right away? You may set some rules around I will return your phone call or email within 36 hours. Sometimes students expect an instructor to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know when I first started teaching online in 2002, that was a lot of students' expectations. So it's definitely something you need to take into consideration. The syllabus's contract helps students understand the approximate hours per week they need to spend on coursework. Most online classes, at least the ones I've taken, have been really difficult compared to a face-to-face course. So students need to know this up front. Clear deadlines for dates and time zones. With distance learning, as we all know, we are in many, many different time zones across the country and across the world. So are we going by Eastern time if the instructor is in the Eastern time zone? I need to keep that in mind and let students know exactly when things are due. Are there late policies? If so, delineate them in very, very, very clear format. Are there asynchronous or synchronous discussions? Students need to know these kinds of things. Communication policies. Again, I will return your call or email within 36 hours. That's a good example there. Use Vista Mail to get in contact with me about course-related matters. If it's something not related to this course, you can use Southern Poly email, for instance, or a phone, and so on and so forth. Also, instructors can set forth times when they will not be available. Many instructors I know state in their syllabi that they do not return phone calls or emails between 5 p.m. Friday and 8 a.m. Monday. Even though students are working online over the weekend, instructors have lives too, and they need a break. There are online conduct policies. Just as we have disruptive student policies for face-to-face courses, sometimes it happens that you'll get a disruptive online student. I was talking on Twitter the other day with Sharon Burton, who's a pretty well-known technical communicator. You may have been to a webinar or two of hers from STC, and she lamented that the course she's teaching online has one of those older returning students who has decided that he or she is the voice, quote-unquote, of the class, and has decided that the student knows everything and is questioning everything Sharon does. And she said, every 3 or 4 years I get one of these. It's becoming a real problem. So to try to keep some of this from happening, and of course you can't keep all of it from happening, but you may discuss the proper tone in which to address your professors and classmates. You may say that to students. You may do as Dr. Laura Palmer here at Southern Poly does, and set forth what certain grades mean in terms of work performance. An A on an assignment, for example, in the workplace would translate to, if there's a promotion, the boss will definitely remember this excellent work and keep that in mind when your name comes up for a promotion. A D in the workplace might translate to, really concerned, calling you into HR. E-office hours on the syllabus also keep students from having the unrealistic expectations that the online professor just pops out of a box somewhere and answers all the questions, kind of like the much maligned Clippy paperclip from Word. There's specifications for written assignments and specification for grades and grade percentages as well. How many words, how long, how much does it count of my final grade, how many of these are due, and so on and so forth. If you take care of it early on in the contract and students stay in the class, follow the syllabus, they agree to the contract in spirit. If they aren't crazy about it, they go ahead and drop. And of course, include official policies on plagiarism, also known as academic dishonesty or cheating. More and more institutions are coming up with very, very specific and sharp policies about this, and especially in the online environment. Some dishonest students are tempted to copy and paste, which of course will earn them a grade they can roll home. But you always want to have that on your syllabus. There's always a penalty for cheating. Students need to know it up front. So how about the syllabus as a map? Well, in an online classroom, we don't have the same kind of face-to-face comfort and meeting on that very first day or second day of class that we do in a campus classroom. You know how the first day of class goes if you go on campus. The professor stands up there, hands out the syllabus, or maybe tells you where to access it online. Hey, my name is Rachel Williams. My office is 105 Pafford. My phone number is 678, blah, 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 blah. This course is X. Here are the books. Online, we don't have that. And your students may be very technologically savvy, and they may not be technologically savvy, so they can kind of be disoriented early on. So the syllabus serves as a map in this way, showing them exactly where the course is headed, exactly how it's headed there, where to turn, so to speak. We all know the frustration of going on MapQuest and getting directions or a map, and they're not worth a darn. This works the same way with a syllabus. The more accurate and thorough we can make our syllabus, the less frustrated students will be, and the less frustrated we'll be, the less gnashing of teeth and pulling of hair we'll have later in the semester when we have to go back and correct our mistakes. Lots of questions and answers. Students are always going to have them, and they're always going to forget too. This is where the syllabus's map comes in handy. And isn't it cool how I use this little directional sign here? Avoid that student panic button. We've all hit the panic button ourselves with online classes. So here's how we can help students avoid this. Aim for redundancy. People are going to forget. They're not dumb. They're just people. Think about how many of us are juggling full-time jobs, kids, a marriage, relationship, other responsibilities, 1 or 2 or more graduate classes. Folks are going to forget. Reminders for assignments and activities and the completion order are very, very handy. I, for one, as an online student in my late 30s, love reminders. I have everything written in my agenda, and I have it in my iPhone. I have it on the whiteboard in my den office, but it really helps to have those reminders built in. Put information in a couple of different places in the syllabus. Note to your students, if there's an announcement, please look in the assignments folder in Vista. That's just an example. There will be a little green and white star. Find the opportunities, every opportunity you can, to give folks important information in more than one place. How about the URL for the course page? You never know. They could Students could just put it into their browser, bookmark it, and they can bypass the main university or college website if it's having problems. Our servers at UWG, for instance, crash on a regular basis. And so in the computer classroom, I just have all of my students bookmark the direct Vista link for UWG's course den, and blam, we go right there and move all around the trouble. Easy to find syllabus and assignments and other documents. Put them all on that first page and arrange them in, let's say, one column, minimum of scrolling. You could even have a welcome message as the very first thing students see when they log on to the home page for the course. Again, this provides easier navigation, kind of like a welcome mat for them to wipe their feet on. Everybody feels more welcome in a new place if somebody says hi to them and shows them where to go and how to do things. The easier it is to find the syllabus, the easier it is for them to find the information they forgot. The easier it is for them to turn in assignments, to get help sheets, and so on. Outline the technology and tools required for the course. In face-to-face or online classes, I put that on the very first page, right under textbooks required. Will they need special software? Will they need a headset or a webcam? Will they need experience with Photoshop or a CSS editor, and so on and so forth? The fewer surprises students have, the better. Contact info for tech support. You never know. Let's say that there's a problem that you can't help your student solve. That's where tech support comes in. Remember Murphy's Law. I know you've heard Murphy's Law before. If something can go wrong, it will. So there may be an instructor you're helping one day who says, well, they'll figure it out. No, don't take that chance. Avoid the student panic button. There is nothing worse than that terrible panicky feeling when you've got an assignment and you can't find where to turn it in, or you can't find where to go to figure out what's wrong with your assignment on Vista. Remember Murphy's Law. The syllabus as a schedule. Yes, and you'll notice here I didn't put a clock. I put a mortar board with, sorry, I had to move a cat. A mortar board with a bunch of $100 bills. Especially in today's economy and how higher education is moving, folks want to be sure that they are progressing with their degree and they're on track, and we can totally understand that. This even comes down to the plan for the semester. What are we doing and when? There are plenty of people, you're probably related to some of them, who have no timetable. When are we going to eat Thanksgiving dinner? Oh, directly. And 6 hours later you're starving to death. Well, it's the same thing with the syllabus. When your syllabus/schedule is tight, students know exactly what to expect and when. Of course, there may be a little bit of leeway, but it helps them plan a little better around their jobs, and it helps them study harder and do better in the long run. So how do you stay on target with the syllabus schedule? Ko and Rossen suggest laying it out week by week. You may try for 2 or 3 day windows. For instance, if you put up an assignment on Monday, you can have everyone comment on it by Wednesday evening. This gives everybody a chance to go through the work day on Monday, maybe download it and print it at work, read it when they get home, mull it over in their minds, maybe Monday night and Tuesday, and then post sometime Tuesday night or Wednesday evening. Also, specific readings and assignments, discussion topics, web resources, and so on for every week. The more specific you can be, the better. I found this out the hard way. Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, I guess we'll just do chapters 2 through 7. We'll figure something out. Students are ready to strangle me. I'm ready to kick my own behind for being so silly. No way that they can cover all of that. Students don't know how to study for a quiz. So be as specific as you can. And I would say err on the side of a little bit more to do, maybe 5 or 6 pages more to read than they need. If you've ever taught in person, you know it's kind of embarrassing when it's relatively early in the week and you're kind of running low on material. I hate letting a class go early. It's kind of the same thing with online. If there's not as much to do, if the discussion topic's a little played out, oh gosh, it's Thursday and people aren't saying much. Oh, and as we all know, if there's silence online on the discussion board, shoot, we're going other places to go do stuff. Instructors with distance learning can't afford for people to get comfortable being quiet. So the more specific you can be and maybe overload a teensy little bit, the better. Stay on target. Use specific dates. I cannot stress this enough. I know that even my freshman students love to know we're going to do the in-class essay on the 17th of October. On November 28th, we're going to turn in the final essay. All of us are juggling full-time jobs and taking one or more classes, and so if we know when something's coming up, we can plan. For instance, Dr. Hopper had us sign up for our modules and our book reports and made a schedule, and now, yes, everybody knows when they're doing what. Great, we can plan around it. Always give students an idea of how to plan ahead. I say this again because you will encounter some instructors who don't do that. They may say, okay, there are going to be a couple of papers later on in the semester. I can understand in TechCom where some instructors want to keep us on our toes, so to speak, so we don't get comfortable. TechCom is a moving target. When we get out in the field and find jobs, there will be plenty of employers who say, oh yeah, I need this 400-page report laid out and printed up in 3 days. You think you can do it? So yes, TechCom's always a moving target. Be careful though that if your instructor wants to go like that, try to get them to say, all right, a window. Students are going to turn in this major paper in the last 10 days of the course, and so on. It's just helps students succeed, and it helps instructors not pull their hair out. Again, supply information more than once. Is that paper due on Sunday the 24th by 11:59 p.m.? Then great. Make sure that students know that in more than one place. I like highlighting important assignments for my online syllabi in bold. I simply use Word. Sometimes I will use InDesign to have a nice magazine type layout for a syllabus. I'm experimenting with that right now. But I make sure that students can see very clearly and in more than one place where they need to look for information. Again, it's better safe than sorry. You can take a look at Ko and Rossen, pages 126 through 142, for some sample syllabi layouts. They're pretty simple. They're not totally complex, but they're very to the point. Students can look at these sample syllabi and know textbooks and requirements, meeting times, etc., etc. Everything's laid out there, and there are very few questions at the end. Speaking of questions at the very end, this brings us to the end of our screencast. I hope you'll dive right into the readings, both the Ko and Rossen and the journal articles, and I look forward to seeing you on the discussion board. Education next exit? Yeah, you bet. As long as your syllabus is very, very carefully planned, it sets the tone for the rest of the online course. If you start out positive and positive, you can't beat that with a stick, right? Right. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you on the discussion board.